The only platform we're not on right now is Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. So I greet you well. Greetings to everybody. Sandra, how you doing? Everton, what's going on with you? I trust that you all are doing well. So talk to me, man. It's been a while. It's been a while. What you guys been up to? I see the whole social media going crazy. All kinds of new folks in town, and there's polls out and all manner of things. Lots of stuff happening. But we are here. I trust that you guys are hearing me loud and clear, and there's no buffering. Thanks to great internet connection. Internet connectivity is up. Mary, good to see you. Sharon, good to see you. Adrian, good to see you. Good to see you all. So, lots for us to talk about, folks. A whole lot for us to talk about. A lot for us to talk about. And please don't tell me about no poll. I don't want to hear that. Any poll, it must be Magic City poll. My friends in Atlanta, they know when I say Magic City what I'm talking about, right? That's the only poll you can talk to me about, Magic City poll. But I greet you well, folks. Lots of good things happening. The budget presentation last week was an excellent one. We saw an unprecedented $1.1 trillion, right? Which we have never seen. Who thought 25 years ago that we could be spending a budget or tabling a budget for over $1 trillion? That's a big deal for Jamaica. And a significant amount of it going towards infrastructure development, something that Jamaica can do well with. More of that, right? Now we saw there's negotiation going on, and I mean, as soon as we get wind of what the teachers are saying, we're gonna break it here. Hopefully, we have our little folks on the inside, inside of the meetings, and we're hoping that they'll be able to give us some information as to what's happening. I gather it might be a done deal, as in with all intent and purposes, it seems to me like they'll be voting to accept, and that would make sense, It's a huge deal for Jamaica. Successive government have talked about it in terms of reforming public sector wages, and it has always been just talk. It's the first time we've seen a government really making it happen. Marvin, are you saying you're not hearing me? Anybody else? This you might need to check your connection on your side. I think we are pretty good here. Most people, if not all, should be hearing me loud and clear. But yeah, both JLP and PNP have for many years talked about revamping this whole public sector wages and public sector structure and how people are calculated and how they are paid. But everybody talk about it. This is the first time we've seen a government that actually do something about it. And that is something for us to be very proud of. It is something for us to be very proud of. I'm going to ask somebody to share that YouTube link in the chat, and see if anybody can. Let's go to Chaps Media on YouTube, and we're there as well. But I'm happy that a government finally decide to do it. It's so unfortunate because it morphed itself into what some are calling a salary negotiation. Well, it's really not a negotiation. It's not a salary negotiation in the true sense. It's basically, I use the word hijacked because the whole thing wasn't even supposed to be like this. Whether you're I don't know how we get to this level where signing off on this is even a part of the discussion, because it was something that was supposed to be done to simplify the whole process. The whole process of how public sector wages are being calculated, and it should be done. It should be done a way that nobody is disenfranchised. Everybody, would be better off going into this sort of readjustment than before. Now, my based on what I have seen, watching how things unfold, is that the government proposed that for that to happen, but then the public sector groups, all decide that they want to have a say. And I guess the government decided that, look, we're not going to back away, allow everybody to come in, because this is a very transparent and it is something that's going to benefit everybody. So why not just allow everybody to come in, which is what happened. But then, they turned it into a negotiation, and now they're meeting. The Teachers Association met last night for hours, 4 or 5 hours, and they excuse me, they decide that today would be the day for them to vote. So I gather that they are now locked into a meeting, trying to come to some, well, not come to some decision. I'm assuming that they're just there to count the votes, because the mandate would have been given to the persons who are on their way, to all the delegates. So it's a matter of counting the votes and letting the minister and the government know what the position of the teachers are. My argument is, if they refuse to sign, does it stop the whole process? No, I don't think it does, because whether they sign off or not, the government will have to go ahead and do what they have to do. But there might be some delay in the money that these guys are slated to receive. No, that's going to be a decision that they will have to take. What was surprising, though, is the way that the JTA disseminate information, because I can't understand why this was such a top secret sort of discussion in what is it that the packages are and how the packages are to be calculated. And what was also surprising is that teachers just didn't know where what level they were in terms of the quote unquote band, on the scale of how they are to be paid. It was surprising to realize that came out in the whole wash on social media, where there were so many teachers who were questioning and just weren't clear as to where they are. But I'm quite happy that most, if all, teachers are now comfortable with exactly where they are on the payment scale. Another unfortunate part of the discussion, guys, was it reached a level where the discussion was no longer about whether or not the package presented by government was something good. They start to discuss which other public sector body getting more, or which group of teachers getting more. And that was sort of unfortunate, because it shouldn't have gone to that level. It should be negotiated based on its own merit, and not based on how somebody else's, what other entities are receiving, or what your co-worker is getting, so to speak. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but outside of that, it was pretty smooth. The deadline is a couple weeks away or so, and that will be the deciding factor as to where we go. I think good sense is going to prevail. These are unprecedented time, and I don't think at the end of it, the teachers are going to be worse off. I think they're going to be better off. Are they where they need to be? No, I don't think so. I think teachers can understand that they deserve more. Just like nurses. The nurses deserve more. Police officers deserve more. Most of these public sector bodies will never tell you that they are at a point where they are comfortable with what they're receiving. And we shouldn't deny that either. But what I find a little bit disturbing is when people start now to say, my group is more important to society than yours. That's sort of a problem. Teachers are saying that they are the backbone of the country, but we could equally say that nurses are too. We could equally say the police officers are. So I don't think that discussion should be something for us to even entertain, because all public sector workers are important to the smooth function of any society. So that part of the discussion needs to just be, removed. So that is what is happening. I mean, today's Sunday the 12th of March, 2023. Anita Earl Ford, Donna Christie, good to see you. Rohan Taylor, Joan, good to see you, Joan. Good to see you. I trust that all is well in your neck of the woods. We are on YouTube, guys. We are on Facebook, and we are also on Twitter. Tell a friend, tweet a friend, call a friend, phone a friend, and tell a friend. We're on. No, they have this little meme that says, you're not just come here and pretend like you didn't see the poll. Of course I saw the poll. But the only poll I'm interested in is the one at Magic City in Atlanta. I'm not one to promote these sort of polls, but it's interesting. And it makes no sense for us to not touch on it. Yeah? So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk poll, since a lot of persons want to talk about poll. When we come back, we'll see what the poll is saying, and I'll give you my 2 cents on it. Stick and stay. We'll be right back.
What the world needs now is more than a vacation. We need to come back to feeling our best selves again. Back to inviting. Back to caring. Back to life. Back to the little bit of Jamaica that's inside all of us. Come back to being lively again. Back to laid back. Back to romantic. Back to fantastic. Come back to making the best decisions you've ever made. Because, hey, we're in Jamaica. Come back to mouth-watering, heart-pumping, breathtaking. It's time, don't you think? Come back to the vibe that comes alive in Jamaica. What the world needs now is more than a vacation. We need to come back to feeling our best selves again. Back to inviting. Back to caring. Back to life. Back to the little bit of Jamaica that's inside all of us. Come back to being lively again. Back to laid back. Back to romantic. Back to fantastic. Come back to making the best decisions you've ever made. Because, hey, we're in Jamaica. Come back to mouth-watering, heart-pumping, breathtaking. It's time, don't you think? Come back to the vibe that comes alive in Jamaica. What the world needs now is more than a vacation. We need to come back to feeling our best selves again. Back to inviting. Back to caring. Back to life. Back to the little bit of Jamaica that's inside all of us. Come back to being lively again. Back to laid back. to fantastic. Come back to making the best decisions you've ever made. Because, hey, we're in Jamaica. Come back to mouth-watering, heart-pumping, breathtaking. It's time, don't you think? Come back to the vibe that comes alive in Jamaica. What the world needs now is more than a vacation. We need to come back to feeling our best selves again. Back to inviting. Back to caring. It's time to come back. Back to adventurous. Being curious. Spontaneous. Back to where it all began. Dare to be bold. To be fantastic. Come back to the vibe that comes alive in Jamaica. It's time to come back. Back to adventurous. Being curious. Spontaneous. Back to where it all began. Dare to be bold. To be fantastic. Come back to the vibe that comes alive in Jamaica. It's time to come back. Back to adventurous. Being curious. Spontaneous.
All right, welcome back, folks. Welcome back. Yes, so lots for us to talk about. And you know, as folks said, well, you're not gonna just sit here and pretend like you didn't see the poll. Of course I saw the poll. But we're gonna talk about some other things first before we get to the poll numbers. Just so you know, folks, we are on YouTube. We're also on Facebook. We're on the Chopping Block Chops Media page, Chopper John West, and we're also on Twitter. We're gonna see if we can get some of these folks to come and speak to us later on, if it's possible. If you see any one of them floating around in the chat there, just wink at me and we'll invite them in. But again, let me say again another big thank you to everybody for joining. It's been a while since we've been on Facebook and all these places. Sharon Bailey, I see you. Anthony, good to see you, my brother. Enough respect to you. Jennifer, welcome. Colin, big up yourself, man. It's been a long while. But yes, folks, there's so much, you know. A lot has been happening. And you know, some of it is not for us to even wonder if it is positive. It's just super positive. The budget last week, like I said to you before, $1.8 trillion. Unprecedented. We've never had that amount of money in any budget before. And when we see that sort of budget being tabled, it tells us that good things are happening. Good things are happening in Jamaica. So it is for us to just maintain a certain level of positivity. But what is sort of unfortunate though, folks, is how do you get a country that is going through the sort of positive growth that Jamaica is going through? How do you get all parties, be it opposition, government, NGOs, civil society, everybody to sort of sync and get on board? How do you do that? How do you get everybody to be on board? It's a tough one. Running a country is not a joke. It's a serious mission. And it is something for us not to take for granted. I mean, Jamaica got you a rough patch, you know, folks. I mean, think about COVID and what it has done to first world country. I'm talking about countries that can withstand just about any shock. Great Britain, the United States, Canada, all of these super rich countries. and the effect and impact that COVID has had on those countries is just unbelievable. And yet, in the midst of all of that, a country, 144 square mile, with a little bit over 2.8 million citizens, manage to maneuver themselves through a global pandemic and came out on the back end of it as being one of the most one of the strongest economy coming out of COVID in the Western Hemisphere. This is not something for anybody to be joking about. I don't know why we find time or how we find time in all of that to really be negative about it or to have anything negative to say. Now, think about it. If a king never get crowned in his own country. But think about IMF and other financial institutions globally, rating agencies, looking at Jamaica and saying, man, you guys are doing great. How do you see all of that when international rating agencies and other countries are saying, boy, you guys are great? How do you move yourself from that to come back to criticize it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how we do it, but it's a tough one. If you guys can probably share that YouTube link in the chat so that others can view it via YouTube if they want to. And again, folks, if you have not yet joined the YouTube platform, please do so, Chaps Media, and you might want to press that notification bell so that you can be notified once we put contents on there. Yeah, but it's sort of disappointing, man. I mean, you know, when you find people from other countries and other international agencies recognizing your work and giving you that sort of support and saying, you know, you're doing great, please continue. How do you do that? And then on the back of that, you start to find all kinds of stuff to say, boy, this country is not doing well. And I don't know. Unless you live under a rock, you could really say that Jamaica is not doing well. No, mark you, not everything is rosy. And there are certain things that perhaps need to be fixed. But Jamaica is at a point where nobody can question how resilient we are as a people and the sort of management that this country has received. Now, whether you're PNP, JLP, no P, or whatever P, credit must be given to the sort of leadership that the country has received through one of the most difficult period in Jamaica's history. I can't think of any other period, and not just in Jamaica's history, but it's a global thing. You know, this thing didn't just happen to Jamaica. You know, it's a global issue, and Jamaica came out smiling on the back end of it. And I think credit must be given to the Andrew Holness-led administration, whether you want to like them or not. Credit must be given. Credit must be given. I remember there was a time, you know, when Jamaica, when the global economy was growing, not like now when the global economy pretty much shut down. There was a time in the past when the global economy grew at up to 14%, but Jamaica managed to shrink. Jamaica's economy We lost about 25% of our economy, and we are now just after 30 years. We're now just getting back to pre-1990 conditions if everything holds train for this fiscal year. So don't take what is happening now for granted. It's not by accident. I've heard Dr. Clark say it a couple of times, and I have to agree. It's not by accident. It is real. And it is real hard work that sort of get us to this level. Huh? So a lot for us to chew on there. I mean, it's no small feat, as I say. This is big deal. Jamaica coming out of COVID, being the strongest growing economy in the West after COVID. That is not something for us to joke about. Inflation, though, as Anthony have said, external inflationary issues, and that's true. Inflation is hurting us because while you're making the gain, I know this discussion is something that we need to really zero in on because there's a big question, folks. And the question is, why is the country doing so well, but there are still complaints at the grassroots level? And that's a very, very legitimate question. I'm no economist, and I'm hoping and relying on some of my econ friends to come through and to give us their perspective on it. But when you really and truly dig deep into it, you must ask yourself the question. The country is doing so well. All the micro and macroeconomic indicators are lined up perfectly. And they're not just lined up for the first time. They're actually working. All these other times we would have heard how much the macro and microeconomic indicators are in line and things are poised to take off. Jamaica has actually taken off. And there's no if, ands, or but about it. There are a lot of stuff that we need to fix. It's going to take some tough decisions. Tough decisions will have to be taken to fix them. Some tough decision will have to be taken, right? Some have been taken already. I mean, we saw the Road Traffic Act came out, and a lot of persons create a big buzz throughout the society. A lot of Jamaicans some of them were, caught in a situation where they have to pay for outstanding tickets. I think the well-thinking and decent Jamaicans who genuinely rack up a couple of tickets here and there had no issue. Who had an issue is the persons who rack up hundreds of tickets over the years, who really care zero about whether or not they abide by the rules of the road. So those were some of the persons who were really angry and upset, with the government implementing the road traffic regulations. And those regulations have been sitting there for quite a while, and they were long overdue. You can't run a country and a society without rules and regulations. And we could not allow for the country to continue going down that path without any regulations. So those road traffic regulations came in at a very good time. And I think when the dust is settled, it will be given credit for making sure that these things are implemented. I know they are still going through dates and assigning dates to everybody for persons to go in and pay their outstanding tickets. I trust that probably by the middle of this year, that should subside and everybody should be, all set. The other tough decision, we saw the new anti-crime bill being tested a second time. And it was successful this time around. They got somewhere in the region of 15 out of 30 persons indicted, and about 15 would have been convicted. That, I think, is not a bad record. You get a 50% conviction on a new legislation. I think they ought to be commended. Now, everybody knows my history when it comes to the police and my perception, and not just my perception, my thinking of the police is that they're corrupt and all that good stuff. But you have to give credit where credit is due. I believe that the police has demonstrated in this particular instance the ability to demonstrate the ability to do their job and to do it very well. I mean, you don't infiltrate a gang the size of the Klansman team and come out with 50% conviction and not credited for it. So whether we like the police or we don't like them, credit must be given, because they did what a lot of persons didn't believe we could have done. And what is so funny, during the time that we were criticizing the police and asking some of the very questions as to why aren't the police infiltrating the gangs, and we were having these discussions on social media, we were having these discussions in the print media, these discussions were being had in the traditional media. And at the time when we were having this discussion, it was happening because the date and time, we knew that at those times that we were talking about it, it was actually happening. Those gangs were being infiltrated, information was being gathered, and cases were being made against them. Well, it went in front, Justice Sykes. Not so sure if I'm 100% fond of the judge only trial, but it is what it is. And, you know, at some point it sounded as though Justice Sykes was sort of iffy. But when the dust is settled and you comb through the entire thing, you realize that what Chief Justice was really doing, he was doing his job. And he was calling it as he saw it. I think a fundamental turnaround he made was when he made mention. Initially, he sort of discredited the Crown witness. But then he came around and his statement was, who better to give you this sort of insight on a gang than somebody from within? So at the end of it, it came out pretty good. We see the Jamaica Labour Party communications czar, as they call him, somewhere in the chat here. We're trying to see if we can bring him on board, because sometimes it's good to get some information from these folks. But I don't want to bring him on yet, because one of my good friends said to me, so you're not going to just sit there and pretend like you didn't see the polls. That's what she said to me earlier. You're not going to just sit there and pretend like you didn't see the polls. Well, I did. And I'm almost certain that the Jamaica Labour Party would have seen it as well. The members of parliament would have seen it on both sides. Some are sort of happy, and some, I'm assuming, is wondering what to make of it. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to invite none other than our good friend Robert Nesta Morgan to join us, and we can have a little chat about not just polls, but just about everything that is happening in Jamaica. There's so much positive for us to talk about. I don't know how we find time to deal with the negative. But stick and stay. We'll be right back.
We'd like to invite you to come back. Back to playful. Back to adventurous. to the little things that can have a big impact. It's time. Come back to the way you always imagined it. In Jamaica. We'd like to invite you to come back. Back to playful. Back to adventurous. Back to the little things that can have a big impact. It's time. Come back to the way you always imagined it. In Jamaica. We'd like to invite you to come back.
Yo, you about the one ID thing there?
Yeah, dog, but I'm not too sure about that, you know. Because I'm not getting no DNA that too personal.
DNA, foolish that man, not no go so.
But are you so sure about that?
Check it out myself, you don't need no DNA nor no bank information to deal with it.
Well, I'm going to check out that for myself.
Real thing, man. Now when you want to look alone, I have your ID, the bank deal with the thing little quicker, you see it?
That sound good. One ID, tell me more.
Secure your future and know your facts. Go to www.nidsfacts.com.
National identification coming soon.
Yo, you about the one ID thing there?
Yeah, dog, but I'm not too sure about that, you know. Because I'm not getting no DNA that too personal.
DNA, foolish that man, not no go so.
But are you so sure about that?
Check it out myself, you don't need no DNA nor no bank information to deal with it.
Well, I'm going to check out that for myself.
Real thing, man. Now when you want to look alone, I have your ID, the bank deal with the thing little quicker, you see it?
That sound good. One ID, tell me more.
Secure your future and know your facts. Go to www.nidsfacts.com.
National identification coming soon.
What the world needs now is more than a vacation. We need to come back to feeling our best selves again. Back to inviting. Back to caring. Back to life. Back to the little bit of Jamaica that's inside all of us. Come back to being lively again. Back to laid back. Back to romantic. Back to fantastic. Come back to making the best decisions you've ever made. Because, hey, we're in Jamaica. Come back to mouth-watering, heart-pumping, breathtaking. It's time, don't you think? Come back to the vibe that comes alive in Jamaica.
All right, so welcome back, everybody. We are back. Back in full effect. So the live was not public just now, so now we've just made it public, so you guys can go ahead and share it. Tell a friend, tweet a friend, and tell a friend we're live, we're back on the block, as we have always been. It's been a good while since we've been here, you know. And like I promised before, we're gonna bring none other than our good friend Robert Morgan on. Greetings, Minister Morgan. Let's see if we can get Minister on. There you go. Greetings, man. Greetings.
Hey, Chopper, what's going on?
I like the color of your screen. You have a black, you have a green screen there, huh? That's a prosperity screen, isn't it?
Oh my God, yes, Chopper. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm good. It's been a while, Nestor, that we haven't spoken on this platform here. And a lot of persons have been asking me, what's happening to the communications guru? Well, let me just get into it. The part of the problem and concerns a lot of persons have is that there's not enough communications coming from the party, the political party, that's the Jamaica Labour Party. I think most people are comfortable with what is happening in really the government, but the political party. So talk to us, Nestor. How you do?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, and thanks to your viewers, listeners on YouTube, on Facebook, and wherever else you are you're calling from. Let me fix this properly, Chopper. I want people to say me not lame out the thing. No, as it relates to the party, I think remember I became PR chairman about a year ago, and since then we have been trying to position the organization, building on what we inherited, to make it a more connected entity. We have built a lot of connections with area councils and so on. So there's a lot that is going on the ground. A lot of information is being shared with labor rights on the ground. I think we have to do more. I will be the first to tell you that we have to do more, and I think we're in a position to do more. A lot of work was done before my time, but the game has changed, Chopper. It's not when we were just coming up, when it was only Facebook and Instagram and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We have different portals now that are out there. We have different avenues by which, and then the good old ground campaign is still relevant. And I think I would not go as far as saying that work hasn't been done. I would say that more work needs to be done, both from the government side and from the party side.
Well, you know, part of the difficulty, Robert, is that, and these are discussions that you will hear in the streets, is that the country on a whole is doing very well. I mean, there's no if, ands, or but about our economy is growing, the country is moving, treading in the right direction. When you have entities such as Fitch, the IMF, and all these other multilaterals coming out and giving commendation to Jamaica, it is a testimony to the work. But then the average man, when I go down to Westmoreland last week and walk the street, and people said to me, when I tell them the reality of the lay of the land, because we're going to talk raw, we're going to reason like how we used to reason back in them days. You remember them days? We're going to reason like how we used to reason.
Not that long ago.
Yeah, man. We're reason like how we used to reason back then. So when I go to Westmoreland and I talk to some people in a Grange Hill division, Duba Thompson division, and I said to them, boy, Chopper, nothing on go on. And I said, nah, man, come here, man. We are talking about nothing on go on. And we start to lay it down to them from Moran Point all the way to Negril. And I spoke about all the infrastructure development, all the economic gains that we have made. And I would have said to folks that, remember, we are coming out of a global pandemic and we still stand up stronger than England, stronger than the United States, stronger than Canada. Britain changed 3 prime ministers. We still maintain, bro God, still a grow the economy. Me tell them all of that. The little lady said to me, then how that help me? Nothing now go on. So talk to me, Nesta. Me I tell you how me get it. So me sell it, me not make no profit.
Well, Chopper, you have to understand, nothing now go on means a lot of different things. In my constituency, we have done a lot of work. We've fixed a lot of roads. We have repaired a lot of schools. During COVID, we distributed hundreds of packages, hundreds of tablets, helped so many people. But you will go on the street sometimes and hear people say, nothing now go on. What that means in many cases is that the cost of food probably has increased significantly. Remember, the Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates in the United States for months, and our local bank of Jamaica has had to follow suit to protect the dollar and to protect and to reduce inflation. Now, inflation is 2 sides, you have the cost of prices, and then you can have an inflationary impact on the dollar. Now imagine if the dollar moved from 154 and went to like 180. So one of the strange things about what is happening, and it's because of the work that has been done by Nigel Clark and others, is that if you notice, the dollar is stable, and it has been stable for a while, which is something that is unprecedented, especially in a period of economic challenges. So what is happening a lot is that the inflationary pressures, the cost of living has been increasing. So while the government has been able to maintain a stable economy, and we have been able to recover somewhat from COVID, food prices are higher. Whenever food prices become high, people are gonna say nothing not go on. The dollar can't stretch, right? But the good thing about what we're discussing now is that we're in the middle of a term. And to speak from a purely political perspective, it's best to have these problems in the middle of a term than at the end of a term. We now have an opportunity to look at what we've been doing and how we've been impacting people, and whether or not people are actually knowledgeable of what we're doing, and how can we put government policies at the feet of the people so that they see the impact. So if I give you something and you don't know the value of it, you're not going to appreciate it. If I build a road through St. Thomas and I do not communicate to you the importance of the road and how the road is going to positively impact your life going forward, you may not appreciate it. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do. We cannot use pre-COVID formulas to deal with post-COVID situations. You can't. The world has changed. Jamaica has changed. People are not processing information the way they used to. People are not engaging in employment the way they used to. And I think what the polls have told us is that the people of Jamaica have faith in the government. Because think about it, Chopper. You have been campaigning for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've been done several national tours. You've been screaming about everything, and the government has not been on the road. We've been our head down. I've been trying to keep the economy stable, trying to keep the country going. And if you've been campaigning for 2 years and your leader has fallen by 4% over the period, year to year, and you are only neck and neck, it means that when the JLP starts stepping on the road, when labor rights start lift up the head from the work and start a campaign time, think about what's going to happen. So I'm not really worried about the polls, right? Because I know the work that we have done. I have full faith in the team that is led by Andrew Holness, and I see the work. And anybody who is out there, who is fear. I mean, if you think about it, Chopper, the people of St. Thomas have been complaining that nobody remembers them for 30 years. They had Fenton Ferguson out there. He didn't really do much. Poor James spent most of his time in opposition. We are doing a road from Harborview to Port Antonio, a highway. That is not a toll road. That is going to open up St. Thomas to commerce and all of that. We're building a new town center in St. Thomas, right? We just opened a new fire station in St. Thomas, right? If you look at the South Coast, people have been complaining about the time it takes from Kingston to Manchester.
Yes.
We're building a road from Clarendon all the way to Williamsville, and then we're going to go further than that, right? The people of South St. Elizabeth have been complaining about irrigation for the farms. We're finishing the Essex Valley irrigation project. Remember the people, Ferris to Maxfield people. Remember the people in Mobile who were complaining about the challenges in traversing Howard Cook Boulevard. We're giving them a perimeter road. We're expanding the airport, because have you ever been in the hall of Sangsters International?
Quite a bit. Yes, sir.
You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there, Chopper. We're expanding the airport. Think about the amount of hospitals that we're going to renovate. The PNP has never built a hospital in Jamaica.
Not one.
Not one. And they can say anything they want about the Mobe Children's Hospital. They never built it. We are the ones who are in power when it's being built. Even in my constituency, look at the fact that I have a new hospital in my constituency. I'm going to get a refurbished clinic in Moko. Right? We're going to have a new hospital in Spanish Town and several other communities across the island. They're going to upgrade Maple, they're going to upgrade Lionel Town, right? The challenge that we've had is that we have been spending all the time, like labor rights are known to do, doing the work and not selling it as much as we should be selling it.
But Minister, let me ask you this. Since you reach to that level, right? because it's all well and good. I agree with you. All that you have just outlined a while ago. It's remarkable the sort of work that we've seen by the government. But the question I want to ask, this is not something new with the JLP as government not talking. The problem I have, why aren't we learning?
I don't think it's a not talking issue, you know. I mean, we talk a lot. I think that
somebody not hearing it.
If you look, no, because here's the problem, Chopper. You have to understand things, you know.
Yes.
Sometimes it don't make sense you're talking and nice in a chopper. If everybody in the market are showed, how you going here?
The man with the bullhorn, he's gonna get the sale.
But what if everybody have a bullhorn? So here's my reasoning. The current situation that we're in, and we don't argue with polls. We don't try to dismiss poll and say look at what happened. We had a car seat issue a couple months ago.
Yes.
We had the SSL issue a couple months ago. We have inflation. We're in the middle of a drought. And what the PNP did, Chopper, is that they timed their poll so perfect. They say, hold on, but some little discontent are going on in the society, man. And it happens all the time. Remember, in politics, you have a 5-year term. You're going to have period. There are people now in my constituency who don't have water. If you go and pull them right now, them say them miserable, them upset, them angry because them don't have no water. But the PNP needs to know that the joke won't last forever. We have water truck and we're buying more. Right? The PNP need to know, say, we fix the KRC thing. Taxi man, them soon feel good again. The PNP need to know, say, no matter what they say, Chopper, no matter what they say, we have Andrew Holness and them have Mark Golding. And if there's one thing I can say about the Jamaican people is that they have faith in the leadership of Andrew Holness. They know his track record. They know his heart. They know his commitment to the people of Jamaica. So I talked to a brethren today, somebody in society who know about these things, who study polls all the time. And he says to me, oh, sorry, Fabian, I'm not going to talk no more about that. Fabian said we mustn't let the secret out. So we don't talk about that part there. I have a friend who does polling. And he talks about these things. I won't call his name or her name. And he said to me that the poll is an anomaly.
Yeah. When
you look at the swings are not standard swings. The swings are essentially the PNP basically looked at the period of time when they could get the most out of the population in light of all that was going on. And then do a poll. Remember, you know, them have this thing about Integrity Commission 1 week before the poll, do you know?
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people would have come away with the idea that the Prime Minister was in trouble, that the Prime Minister got himself in mix-up. And then a man come a yard now and say, oh, you know, say, what do you think about Andrew Holness? A man say, but you mean the one where they didn't involve with the thing with integrity report? No, sir, I'm not sure. You understand where I'm coming from, Chopper?
Yeah. The timing of it. You're saying that the timing of it.
The timing just before budget.
Yes.
Because what they know, that we're coming with good things for the people of Jamaica.
Yes. So
what they were trying to do now is to kill the budget. So they don't want nobody talk about the budget. And you have to understand the political strategy. And labor rights who are listening to me have to understand political strategy. Don't be nervous when the PNP pull them strategy because our strategy better. We have demonstrated that. Remember, they said we couldn't win in 2016. They were ahead in the polls in 2016. They were ahead in the polls in 2020. Remember, Chopper?
Yes.
They were ahead in the polls in 2020, in August 2020.
Explain something to me, Robert, because
Yes.
from where you sit, I'm certain that the JLP would have commissioned poll before. When the party commission a poll, don't they control the narrative?
Yes, they do, because they would have had the poll sitting on for how long? And that's one of the things that you need to be careful of, because I find it very interesting that the Gleaner would publish a party poll.
Yeah.
When they have money to do their own poll. I'm not going to go any further with that conversation, but I just want people to don't make people trick you. Don't make people fool you. So what they were expecting, Chopper, is that they would have dropped this poll, they would have get a big momentum, but what they have actually done is rile up Labour right. Now when I go,
Because it's been out there for a while.
Chopper, I went into my seat on Thursday.
Yes.
I was there today as well. I went to a funeral today. The people of North Central Clarendon don't agree with the poll.
They don't.
They don't. Them ask me which poll. And so one of the things I want to make people understand is that a poll is a snapshot in time, you know, that the time gone long time.
That time.
That
And it doesn't
time
last for very long.
That time come and gone. You understand? So I mean that's basically what I wanted to point out to people. It's all good and well for people to say whatever they want to say, but at the end of the day is one poll that counts. And we have demonstrated consistently since 2013 that when it comes to polls, we know how to run polls. You understand? From St. Mary, Southeast St. Mary, Cassia Park,
Clarendon,
West, is it East Portland or West East Portland? Southeast Clarendon. Since as them so confident about poll, make Peter Phillips resign. No, I'm serious. Like it's a serious argument. Since as the PNP is so confident about polls, since as on our head now, Peter Phillips won't go home a long time. He's tired. He's served the nation admirably. Make Peter Phillips resign and make we call a by-election. Make we test the theory. Chopper John.
So you're saying let's go to a by-election and test the waters.
Test the theory. Make we test the theory. Since as Mark is so confident.
Because I would say, since you're ahead in the poll, call the general election too. Because I have every confidence that there would be any difference between a local by-election and a general election. I don't see where there's going to be any.
Only one man can call a general, and he's not sitting on this conversation.
Well, I hope that next week when we are on, he'll be here, because I want to ask him. Because I hear a lot of people here today saying, call it, and you call it.
No, but John, Chopper John, I want you to appreciate something. And I have been in this business since 2000, and long time. And I'll tell you my age.
Yes.
And I've seen, remember, you know, nothing in politics is called your time.
Yes.
When it's your time, it's your time. Nobody can take it from you. In 2020, it was my time in North Central Clarendon. No matter what Desmond Brennan did it, no matter how much mule him ride, even the mule will turn back. He could not take it from me. In 2015, it was Andrew Holness time.
Yes.
In 2020, it was Andrew Holness time. Remember what happened in 1999? PJ won in 1997.
Yes.
And the country locked down in 1999 because of the gas tax.
Yes.
Similar to what happened to it, the country never locked down with the baby thing. But people did vex because whatever. What happened in 2002?
They won the election.
But the election.
Yes. Yes. They won the election. Yes. But that car seat, let's go back a little bit. I mean, it has been resolved, and I think all parties are comfortable. But don't you see where there's some simple communication problem? Because How
The
did
car
we
seat-
really get to
car
an issue where car seat is concerned, where
car
the
seat
child
was-
restraint system is concerned?
The car seat thing wasn't a communications issue. Let me tell you what it was.
Talk to me.
It is a good thing to restrain babies in cars.
Yes.
It is a good thing for people who are carrying children, young
Yes.
children, to restrain them. Because children in an accident are not just a danger to the persons in the vehicle, but they're also a danger to themselves.
Mhm.
From 1999 2001, that clause was in the law. When we passed the law in 2018, remember the same law we take from 2015 and passed it in 2018, that clause was in the law still.
Mhm.
Everybody in Jamaica fed up with the situation on the road. And the Prime Minister and the Cabinet took the decision that, listen, we're going to implement the Road Traffic Act. We implemented the Road Traffic Act. Police started implementing the law. People started feeling upset about the car seat because they said it was impractical. Right? What is important is that you have a government that listens.
That's the key. That's the takeaway.
No, we could have said it's the law is the law, but that's not our government. Our government is a government that, and sometimes people criticize us for it, but it is what has made us who we are. The ability to hear what the people who voted for you are saying and make changes. Because if it is that you pass laws and people are not happy with the laws, but not everybody watches Parliament, not everybody goes to Joint Select Committee.
Right.
So you as the technocrat who is looking at international standards and saying, well, the international standards is that children must be restrained. And the politician listens to the technocrat and say, well, you know, this is a good idea, you know. Maybe we should try it. And when you try it now, and the people then reel up and say, well, no, we're not ready for that yet. It is arrogant for you not to listen. And that's the difference between the JLP and the PNP.
So listening to the people is a key component of good governance.
I remember I was a young man in high school and they built a bridge in St. Thomas. And Mr. Patterson, former Prime Minister, went to open the bridge. And a little old man left on the side of the bridge and said, Mr. Patterson, sorry, the bridge said, nah, I go walk it, I go wash way. and I go and say, Mr. Patterson said, but a leader said, come, man, we give you a bridge and you come and make up nice. 1 month later, the bridge was way.
Gone.
The people who experience the policies that you implement are the most important people in lawmaking. It is not the police, it's not the politician, it's not the government that is the most important variable in the whole rule of law equation.
So did we not examine this before though, Robert? Because to be honest with you, when I look at it, I say, how did we make this mistake? Because how did we get into a car restraint conversation? Because a car restraint system is supposed to be in a car for a child restraint system. However, just our neighbor to the north, in Florida, they don't have it in public transportation. So is it a case where the technocrats, who are the ones piling over these documents, saw this in there and did not do their due diligence?
It caught all of us off guard, and I'm going to say it. I wasn't in Parliament. I became a senator in 2019, right? So I was not there when it was passed. But the law was debated. Maurice Guy and all the others, JLP, PNP, were in Parliament. Everybody looked at this law. It's a very big law, Chopper. It's a huge document. Everybody looked at it. And I suspect because it was always there, everybody took it for granted because a lot of the 90% of what is in the new Road Traffic Act comes from the old Road Traffic Act. Right. So we haven't changed much. What we have done is put in a new ticket management system, trying to synchronize the relationship between the tax office, the courts, and the police, right? Right. So what happened to us is that we took something that was there for so long. You know what this reminds me of?
Talk to me.
Do you remember when we had NIDS?
Yes.
And
exact same. Yes.
We
Yes.
were gonna go with NIDS and make it voluntary. And a former leader of the PNP in a meeting said, you cannot be spending so much money and it's voluntary. And we pull back the back. Remember, we did table the bill already, you know.
Yeah.
Delaware Chuck had tabled the bill already in Parliament and we withdrew the bill. And based on the concerns in consultation with the opposition, we edited the bill to make it mandatory. And when we passed the law, the same opposition took us to court for making it mandatory.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe they listen. But you can't really. Maybe they listen.
There's something is missing us though, Robert, because if it is, we should have learned from them that we can't just pick something up off the shelf and run with it.
I see something on your thing that JTA accepted the offer. Is that true, Chopper?
Well, the chopping block has. This looks like breaking news.
Well, is it breaking news?
It seems like breaking news. JTA accept the offer.
You have the button?
I don't have the button. I don't have the breaking news button, but this look like breaking news.
Let me make a phone call and call. Don't hang up. Let me. We need to call.
Let's have the minister confirm this live on here. Eh?
I need to call a friend.
Call a friend, man. This is a good time to call a friend and find out if this is true. It says breaking news here, folks. You heard it first. They say you should check your Facebook.
Trying to get the person. So it is there.
Yes.
Well, I'm trying to call who I can call.
Yes.
But I will get a confirmation shortly. Don't worry. But if it is that they have signed, this is a monumentous occasion for us.
Well, it means that the plans of the enemy would have failed because the railing
is being a breaking news. Delegates of the Jamaica Teachers Association have voted to accept the government's wage offer, a major breakthrough days after it was previously rejected. So, as I said to you, the teachers won't be angry forever. The police won't be angry forever.
So you heard it first here, Minister.
Yeah?
The teachers have accepted the government's wage offer. What does this mean? Talk to us.
It is significant because what it means is that we can now move further into finalizing the reclassification exercise, which is the most significant action we have done to make the lives of public sector workers better. Remember, we're moving from over 300 different levels to 16. We're increasing the salary level of a lot of people. Like I saw an example where somebody was earning $600,000 a month is now earning $1.5 million. And I think for the workers, this is important. The public sector workers have suffered through wage freezes between 2013 and 2015. They have had 4%, 3%, 4%, 3% for a very long time. And I think the fact that the JLP government has been able to take the difficult process of making their lives better and bringing it so close to fruition. So, Chapa, you have any friend who is a teacher?
Quite a few.
There's some retroactive money that they're going to be getting this month,
Yes, they're going to be nice. I need to friend them out.
And you need to be close. You need to be close to them because they'll have some money. But Chapa, I mean, this is significant. I'm happy that you could have broken it on the chopping block.
Absolutely.
And it just emphasizes what I've been saying throughout this conversation, that a lot of these issues are temporary.
Yes.
A lot of the issues that they base the poll on are temporary. A lot of the reasons people were upset with the poll.
So this should have been a significant glitch in the plans of the opposition, because I'm assuming that they would be relying on this rejection to sort of combine that with all the other negatives that they are, putting together. And it seems
Well,
that this one,
as
is
I
a
said
spun and
before,
spoke.
the PNP should allow us to test the poll. If it is that they are so far ahead in the polls, they should ask Dr. Peter Phillips to, take a break. I mean, he's a very tired man, a man is a very nice man, but, he has done his time. And I think the PNP, now that they're ahead, should give him the opportunity to go into retirement so we can test the polls in a by-election in one of their strongholds. And I think that would be a good example of whether the PNP is ahead or not.
But why is it that you wouldn't? Why is it that you wouldn't? Well, let me not go there. But there's another argument being swirling around that there's a couple of members on the opposition side that is signaling that they really want to join you on the prosperity side, Mr. Morgan. How do you answer to that?
Well, I mean, the church is big enough to hold everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Lord has never rejected anyone from his salvation. So the JLP should not reject anyone from the prosperity. Yes. But what I do aside,
I think you're happy this evening, Minister Morgan, because
I have to be. I mean, think about it. I have a lot of teachers in my community. I have a lot of teachers in my constituency, and a lot of them have wanted to finalize this thing because they want the money. A lot of teachers have called me and said, listen, Mr. Morgan, see if you can get them to finalize this thing because we've been waiting for so long for an increase. We want the money. A lot of them wanted to sign from last year, right? And it's very good that the Ministry of Finance and the teachers have been able to come to an amicable solution to this issue. So now it's over to the other groups that have current issues discussing with the government, so we can also come to an amicable solution with them.
Good. So that's a hurdle that we were hoping that would have crossed, and I think the teachers, being one of the larger unions, would have set the pace for the others, don't you think?
Right, I think so. We have to give credit to Dr. Clark. He has gotten a lot of hits over the last couple of weeks, but he has been very respectful. He has been very humble. And he has stuck to the task of negotiating with the workers. When barbs are being thrown at him left, right, and center, and the PNP is saying a bag of things, he has not lost his cool. And that's the nature of leadership that we need in Jamaica. The nature of
steady hands.
Have a steady and focused on the objective. What is the objective that they're seeking to achieve in this country? We're seeking to make people's lives better. That's a singular objective, There's nothing else that the JLP is interested in. And no one can look at what we're doing with the civil servants and say that we're not making the life of almost every public servant better. And I think that's something that we need to be thankful for.
Well, we have to get talking, we have to get cracking, we have to start the reconnection, because as you would have admitted a couple days ago, that there is some disconnect. How do you plan to start that reconnection?
Well, listen, I've been in discussions with my seniors, and we know what we need to do. We know what the problem is. And you see, one of the good things about this situation in the chopper, we know what the problem is, we know what the solution is, and we have time.
Good.
So good. It's a perfect time for us to have this information as a government. You're in the second term, you're in the middle of your second term.
And I'm hoping by fixing this problem now, we will definitely put that handbook down.
And one of the good things that this thing has done, though, Chapa, is a lot of people who were hiding in the bushes.
Yes.
And flinging stones at us are no longer hiding anymore. They are now come out. So we know who they are now. All of the people who decide to put them face on
cameras
and orange posters now. We know who you are now. We know what your intentions are. So now we have an opportunity.
Well, Minister,
Yeah.
like I said to you before, there's work to be done. I have never stopped. I've always been on the ground, touching base with people, and I get the feedback. I pass it on to you guys. It's for you guys to act
What we
on it.
need to do, Chopper, is you need to make this thing a weekly thing, man. I don't know what.
Well, you know what you need to do.
You're busy. You're busy. Look at you. You even have gold mic now. Last time I spoke to you, you never had a gold mic.
Yes, these mics cost a lot of money, Minister. So
Right.
we need to talk. We need to have a conversation on how we can get the platform back up and running in full
Definitely,
fledged.
definitely. And thanks to everyone. I think we had a good listenership while I was
Yeah,
here.
man, definitely. And I appreciate you coming through too,
Yeah, man. And I'll definitely be back. If you keep it every week, I can come on every week. I make that come.
All right. Well, we're gonna go back. Remember those days when we used to be on here and people used to look forward to you coming with the bags of goodies, talking to us about some of the achievement of the government. There's much more than what existed in 2016. There's a lot more today for us to talk about, for us to educate the public about. And we look forward to your participation and for you to get other colleagues to come on here.
Definitely. And I'm sure, remember, Chopper, remember you basically started this political blogging thing in Jamaica and it never existed.
Absolutely.
And I think now is the time. I mean, they wake up the dragons,
There's a song I want to play, but if I play it, I might get shut down. There's a song by Agent Sasko that says, you give them the place to run, them couldn't run it.
Exactly.
No way of it.
Buju Banton, I want to,
Yes, that's a Buju. That's a Buju. It's Buju. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Give them the place to run, them couldn't run it.
All
so we
right.
are back in full effect. Tell a friend.
Hold on, Chopper. Let me find out the numbers. Hang on a second. Don't hang up.
Yes.
Hello? You remember the numbers? All right, let me read it now. Thank you very much. All right, let me read it now. All right. So, Chopper, I can give you the numbers.
Yeah, man. Please go right ahead. So you hear it first here, folks. Minister is reading the numbers.
So accepted 80%, rejected 90%, abstain 1%.
1%.
80% of teachers accepted the offer.
Yes.
19 rejected it. And 1% abstained.
That's great. That's great. Awesome.
Right.
Awesome. Awesome.
So that means that we are in good stead.
Good. 147.
803 delegates.
Yes.
784 voted. 629 yes. 170 47 no.
Right. So that's significant though. But you see, that writing was on the wall. That writing was on the wall from last week when we had 222 broke away from the 584 that voted. I think the signal was there already to say, look, we want our money.
Definitely.
And I listened to that discussion last night on the Zoom channel, and we realized that most teachers, if they had the information long ago, we would have been at this position. We wouldn't have had this thing drag out so long. So the JTA did a poor job in communicating the numbers. I don't know why these things are in secret.
Well, I can't comment on that.
No, that's not for you. But I'm just saying, no, but the teachers have said it, that they didn't get adequate information from JTA. I know JTA wanted to sign long ago, but the infiltration, the politics that came in, derailed the whole process, and it started at Stets in St.
You're trying
Elizabeth.
to get me in trouble, Chopper.
No, it's not trouble. You're in a GLP shirt. That's what I tell you. There's a thin line, Minister. There's a political line, and today you're not here, the Minister of Information. You're here as the Director of Communication for the Jamaica Labour Party.
What I think what was disappointing to me, is that the PNP, in their desperation, tried to use the teachers.
That is the argument. That is the argument.
Political, and I think I saw a video of Damon Crawford today talking about how the PNP used to cost the teachers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden now they're turning up at teachers at school while school is in
It was disheartening last week to see what happened in Porus. But prior to Porus, Robert, at Stets in St. Elizabeth, when a member of the PNP led that discussion and tried to rile up those teachers. That was very disheartening.
But good thing about that interview, you know, that is when we realized that there were two sides to the issue.
Yes.
The teachers not only had an issue with what was being offered, but they had an issue with how it was being communicated to them.
But
and that is when, yes.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
That
Robert.
is when other teachers from other sections of the country
start to realize.
Wait, we not hear everything, man. We not tell you everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that probably is the silver lining that really brought us here today. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say big respect to the teachers who have remained true. Not every teacher was on strike, you know, Chopper. And we need to remember that a lot of teachers went to school and looked out for the children. And we're not trying to tell anyone not to strike, but a lot of teachers, a lot of schools did not close. Only about 10%. Only about 10%.
Very much so. I'm familiar and involved in a school in St. James, and they didn't close their doors either.
Yes. So the majority of teachers, I believe,
yes,
were very happy with what the government was offering.
Yes. And we're happy that this came to a very, very good conclusion. The teachers will get their money, which is the next holiday, Easter. They'll have a good Easter.
Yes.
And people will be happy. No,
I have a WhatsApp group with a whole heap of teachers in it now, you know, so you know I'm going to start asking my donations for the next election.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Robert. As usual, man, enough respect. We appreciate you coming through. And we'll do this again next week. Eh?
And thanks to your listeners, viewers. I mean, it's been, I think a lot of them have been tuning in. I really appreciate the welcome. And take care, my friend.
Appreciate it. Robert Morgan. Robert Morgan has departed the scene. We appreciate him coming through, and we look forward to hearing from him again next week when we will have another block. But this is great, folks. This is great stuff. The teachers have voted, not just voted to accept, but overwhelmingly. It's overwhelming that vote. 629 voted to accept the government offer, and 147 voted to reject. This is significant, folks. It brought this whole discussion to a very good conclusion, and it sets the pace for the other groups to come on board and to ensure that their members can benefit from the growth in the economy. I think it's unfair to believe that only certain people must benefit. It cannot be that the growth in the economy only goes to members of the public sector. There are other persons in this country who would have contributed to us having enough money to take on this task of revamping our public sector wages. But while we have fiscal space in the economy to do these things, we must recognize that there are others who must benefit from it, right? So again, we say, well done. It's a long debate, a long discussion. We thank our teachers. We appreciate our teachers, because without teachers, a lot of us would not have not even the basic education that we have. So we give a lot of praises and thanks to our teachers. We thank our police officers as well. Without them, teachers would not be safe. We thank our nurses and doctors, because without them, our teachers would not be healthy. So I'm saying this to say that all public sector bodies are an important part of how this country functions. I want to thank you guys again for coming through. It's the first in a long while we've been back, but we look forward again to next week. Same time, same place. A matter of fact, we might even have another block during this week. We have the Prime Minister coming up on Prime Minister's budget presentation is going to be on Thursday. I think the leader of the opposition speaks on Tuesday. It's going to be interesting to hear what the opposition leader brings to the table. I'm a little bit disappointed because the level of leadership that the opposition leader has been providing, it's becoming strenuous. It's becoming a drag on the government, because when you have an opposition that is not strong enough, it pulls the government down. A strong opposition will push the government up and will be better for the country. But we are having it in the reverse. And we're hoping that the opposition would lift their game, and not just political game, but the way they govern, the way they manage the people around them, the way they treat members of the society. I don't think we should use dirty politics and cheap politics to gain political foothold in Jamaica. I think we should definitely start to look at how we communicate. The Jamaica Labour Party has a problem in communication, and the minister and the communication chief for the party would have acknowledged that. So we're looking forward to see some changes. We're looking forward to see some new action. I am back. Certainly, I am back, because I'm not going to sit idly by and allow for, people to dominate this space, knowing very well that what they're out there doing, we started that here from 2015. We started this from 2015. Most people didn't have a clue. We started this from 2015. And we're going to be back. We're going to take back what is rightfully ours. The space belongs to us, and we're going to take the space back. So again, thank you all for coming through. We appreciate you. Sharon Bailey, good to see you. Barbara Buchanan, you've been here from day one, my dear. Pamela, good to see you. Angela Walker, Colette, good to see you guys. Magnus, a friend from over there in Atlanta, good to see you. Karen, good to see you as well. Faye Grant, good to see you. Greg, my good friend in Canada. Greg, good to see you. Just calling out a few folks. Glenn Binns, good to see you as well. Kirk Prosperity Rodney, good to see you, my friend. It's really a joy. Courtney Edwards, blessings. Bartley, Swaby, Gladstone, Donna Christie, Shanti Johnson. These are all familiar faces. It's like a family reunion up in here, folks. Trust me, it's like a family reunion. Paul Steele, Lily Roses, good to see you. All these are my folks from way back. Salim, when I tell you about, these are no stranger to the block. These are all my folks. Beverly Nelson, Anthony, respect to you guys. If it wasn't for you, I would not be here. Charles Douglas, lots of folks. All these folks are people who have been here with us from day one. Delroy, Dabney, Sir Dabney, good to see you, my brother. I appreciate the support. We don't take this for granted, Donovan Hall, we don't take this for granted at all, because you have choices. There are a lot of stuff happening all over the place, and you guys choose to stay here with us. Like I said, it's been a long while. We've been on Facebook and we've been off for a minute. Duke Sharp, look at that. These are all my folks, man. Sonia, wow. This is great. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Just go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Chops Media, and click that notification bell so as to ensure that whenever we go live, you are notified. Philip, my good friend, Philip, good preacher Phil, good to see you as well, man. Duke Sharp, it's been a while. So again, folks, it's been a pleasure bringing this to you. Thanks to Robert Morgan for coming through. Next week, we're going to have more conversation. Joan Millis, good to see you, Joan. Richard Ramsey, good to see you as well. Next week, same time, same place, with yours truly, we'll be back on track, as they would say, we'll be back in full effect. So until such time, guys, you take it easy. Love you all and much respect.
Full of flavor, no if or no maybe. Malta, my crave on a daily. I couldn't ask for a better cold glass. Coffee can't pass from this. My Malta, my pocket with me. You know I got it with me. I feel have a bucket for myself. Yesterday the shop locked, so today me come back. 2 new flavors on the shelf. Me say me see it and me grab it and me love it and buy it. My mommy take it and she pull it and try it. She say Malta in the morning, afternoon or night. And she finish it, she don't need no help. Drink them all. Coffee or vanilla, the Jamaican original. Have it with me lunch or my dinner. Ginseng with the ginger, make you settle and you simmer. Good feed the baller and the singer. Make you feel good and it tastes real nice. Better when cool, so we put it on ice. Take a sip once, if you take a sip twice. Mother full of flavor for life. Mother full of flavor for life.
We'd like to invite you to come back. Back to playful. Back to adventurous. Back to back to the little things that can have a big impact. It's time. Come back to the way you always imagined it. In Jamaica.